Great. So, enough. Oh, sorry. Forget that. So, now let's get into the exciting part. Now we're going to look at the actual findings from the research. And we're going to start with the attractiveness part. But before, this is the last slide, theoretical slide before we start with the findings. I just wanted to show you this, because as you're going to see when we go through the findings, we're going to have a lot of different measurements. And the reason for us having these different measurements is not to either make it complicated for you or for the students. It's basically because we want to be able to see how well you are performing in different stages of the attractiveness. So basically, the students first, they get exposed for a company list that here in the US consists of 250 companies. Then, they get to pick their considered employers. And the employers are randomized, because otherwise Apple would be even more attractive than they already are. And then they get picked to pick their considered employers. And what's interesting here is that what we can see is that the student's mindset is pretty set already when it comes to the considered employers, because they can pick as many as applicable. But anyway, on a global level, the students only pick 18.5 considered employers. Because I would guess that if they can choose as many as they want to, they would probably pick 100 or something. But no, their mindset is very set already when they pick the considered employers. Then from the considered employers, they then get to pick their 5 ideal employers. And that is then the core measurement for Universal. And those are the rankings that you can see in Business Week, in New York Times, and so forth. And also, for their ideal employers, they also get to answer an additional question. Have you or are you planning to apply to these employers? So, we have these 3 different measurements. And then in addition to this, we also ask the respondents if they are familiar with all the companies in the research. So all in all, we have 4 different measurements. And I'm going to get back to all of them a bit later. Yes, shoot.
You said 18.5 are considered. Do you have a number for how many they picked for ideal?
5.
Yes, and they can get to pick 5. Yeah, that's correct. But on average, they pick 3.5 ideal employers. So once again, we can see that they're very narrow in their selection. Yeah, this was just a very specific slide for United Technologies because they also have some write-ins, so we had to combine them into. So here is the ranking, the ideal employer ranking for the overall undergraduate audience at your target schools. You can see it says total here. And for all the data that we're going to look at, when I don't say anything else, it's just data based on your target schools. So here you can see the top 10 employers, but that is for overall. So that is for all the 68,000 respondents. This is for the 2,700 respondents that we from the target schools. So, what we can see here is that Google is number 1. No surprise, I guess that we all could have guessed that before. Then we can see that if we are just to look at on the overall trends here in the rankings, we can see that we have Walt Disney ranked very high, we have Apple also ranked very high. We can see that we have a lot of companies with very strong consumer brands being ranked highly in the rankings. We can also see that when we look at the background for these companies being ranked so high, we can see that they are very much associated with being dynamic, being flexible. So that's one of the trends that we can see in this year's ranking. Then you can also see that we have NASA, we have FBI, etc. in the top. And that is another trend that we've been seeing, that the students really seek for job security and stability. So we can see that a lot of the governmental employers actually have climbed in the rankings, and who have dropped them. On an overall level, we can see that the I-banks, the management consultants, and also the Big Four actually have dropped in attractiveness. Is this something that surprises you? Is it in line with your
No, those tend to be the companies that our students always talk about, or when they get an offer from us, these are the companies that they say no to us because they're going to one of these.
Okay, okay.
So it seems pretty in line.
Okay, so now we're just going to look at the U2C ranking, which of course is super exciting. And what we can see here is that you've done a great job the last year. So congrats everybody. Very positive. So you actually planned on an overall level from 61 to 46. And also can see that, I mean, you've increased among the male audience, but look at this, 105 to 62. So my big question, when I was sitting here and analyzing the findings is, what have you done among the female audience?
Adverts targeted towards females.
Okay, so you've been using, okay, so that has definitely paid off then. Another interesting finding that I mean, this is of course a great achievement, and I know that you have been focusing very, very intensively on your target schools. But what you can see here is that on an overall level, you were ranked 134 last year, and this year you ranked 143. So you've actually dropped a couple of positions in the overall audience, but at your target schools, fantastic job. And do you have any comments to that? Is that aligned with your strategy?
Yes, I think we stopped doing any activities or even posting at some of the other schools and just really putting 100% into our target schools and really focusing our resources, and that's showing.
Yeah, we found as an organization that it didn't make much sense for our recruiting numbers to really blast everywhere, so more targeted focused effort is more in line with that strategy.
Great. So, you can also see here what a tremendous journey. And I mean, this of course makes my job very, very easy here today when I'm here presenting these types of findings. But you can see here your development versus your competitors that have somewhat fallen. So you were ranked, I mean, around 100 3 years ago. Now you're up to 40. It's amazing.
Do you include that slide if there is? Because a lot of the companies that I'm looking at, it's just like, for all of the competitors, it's just like straight across. So I've been taking it out because I don't feel like there's much conversation going around it.
But I think that, sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, a couple of times they've actually asked me, what about my competitors, that they've gone up and down over the years, because you're only showing the one company. So if there is a dramatic difference, like in this case, then I would show it, but if they're all like...
Yeah, that's why I've been kind of looking at it case by case.
I think that I would still actually keep them, even though they're just the same, because I think that is a very interesting finding in itself, just for them to see. And then, but then I would just be like, okay, and here we can actually see a comparison with three years back, and you can see here that you're all basically exactly the same over the last couple of 3 years. So that's very. I think that is interesting as well. So I do like this slide because, just like Bianca said, here you can only see how they've changed, not how the competitors changed. So I mean, if there's somebody fairly intelligent in the room, they will ask, okay, so but how have Boeing gone up or down? And now we're going to look at the breakdown, and I'm going to look at the engineering audience. And here we can once again see the same trend as we could see in the total audience. You've climbed, and you're actually in the top 20 among the engineering audience, which is fantastic. The same trend with the climb, the huge climb among the female audience, and also a small drop in the overall audience. So we can see the same trend as among the total audience. And once again, the same positive development for you guys. And I mean, you were almost down at 60, now you're in the top 20. And my question is actually, where do you see yourself next year?
Top 10.
Top 10?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that you need to do in order to, except for using our data to refine your messaging, but what do you think that you need to do in order to get there?
I just think we're gonna, you know, with our as we said, refocus our efforts, getting the teams out of these specific campuses, especially bringing in female recruiters to get the women's numbers up. I think is going to help drive our success.